Li Xiaoqi says it's easier for property prices to fall than rise. Suspected H7N9 bird flu case in Guangdong. And Hong Kong-bound heroin seized in Thailand.
Good evening. Guangdong province has reported its first suspected case of H7N9 bird flu. A 51-year-old woman is in serious condition in the city of Huizhou. She works in the live poultry trade. 36 people who have been in close contact with her are now under observation. No abnormalities have been found among them so far. Here in Hong Kong, health authorities said it's most important to be vigilant as the risk of the disease appearing here increases.
In view of the large number of cases in a number of provinces in the eastern part of China, and also a significant mortality rate among the H7N9 cases, we must not underestimate the risk to our local citizens. So far, there's no evidence of sustained human-to-human transmissions. The main concern now is whether the virus can adapt further to have the potential to cause a pandemic. It's not unexpected that in the coming few months there may be imported case into Hong Kong.
Results of the Joint University Programmes admission system came out today, with more than 14,000 students getting into degree programs. But those who didn't get accepted into an undergraduate course can still consider the associate degree route or study outside of Hong Kong. Rani Samtani reports.
Students were up bright and early to see if they got into university. This student was overjoyed with his acceptance and hopes a university degree will increase his career prospects. Out of the 69,000 students that applied through the JUPAS system, 14,700 have been accepted into an undergraduate degree program. Out of those, 80% got into their first choice program, and 3,500 students were accepted into an associate degree or higher diploma program. But for those who failed to make the cut, they now have some tough decisions to make. Warren Kwan didn't score high enough for the double degree program he applied to at Chinese University and has requested a remark. Kwan says he got into an associate degree program and would need to accept the offer by the 12th of August. But he is waiting to receive his remarked results, which will only be released on the 13th. So he's unsure of what he should do. According to the existing mechanism, if a student's remarked results improve and are higher than the student with the lowest scores on that particular degree course, the student will be admitted to the course, even if it is full. Student support group Hok Yao Club says that it's very rare for remarked grades to increase significantly and urge students to avoid missing the admission deadlines. Kenneth Law, principal of the Hung To College of Professional Studies, has suggested students look at schools on the mainland.
And nowadays, still is not enough quota in Hong Kong.
But he did warn students to be aware of what qualifications are recognized in Hong Kong before taking up the courses that interest them. Students that received university offers will have to pay a deposit to secure their placement. They can do this in person or via the JUPAS website before 6 p.m. tomorrow. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
Well, there are mixed opinions over a proposal to change school catchment areas to meet the rising demand for Primary 1 places. The pro-establishment DAB supports the idea, while the Democratic Party thinks it doesn't solve the problem of rising student numbers from more cross-boundary pupils. Stephanie Choi has that story.
It's that time of the year when parents and students scramble for school places in the district of their choice. But more options may be available as the increase in the number of cross-boundary pupils could see school catchment areas widened to meet demand. Starry Lee of the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong believes the Education Bureau's new system will give students a greater chance to study in districts of their choice.
Every district can ensure that they have a relatively adequate place for their student. And secondly, they can give more choice for those who can choose from that special net.
But the Democratic Party thinks widening the school net does nothing to ease the pressure from the rising number of cross-boundary pupils.
I believe that the Education Bureau should increase the school places, especially in North District, but not only to spread the problem to other districts like Tuen Mun, Yuen Long, or Tai Po.
The DAB believes the redistribution of Primary 1 places would help smaller classes become a reality. It would also give parents a better idea of their chances. In contrast, the Democratic Party thinks the emphasis on smaller classes is a misplaced concern, and the reshuffling of options in the new school net an added confusion for parents. While the parties have differing views on the Education Bureau's plans, both are pushing for the release of a comprehensive scheme before school starts in September. If that does not happen in time, it would magnify the anxiety that parents are already facing. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Henderson Land Development Chairman Lee Shao-ki has warned that property prices could fall further. And he says his proposal to donate land to build affordable homes will be finalized in the next month or two at the earliest. Kirti Nandwani reports.
Lee Shao-ki today spoke out over plans to donate land to the government to build affordable housing. The property tycoon said the idea targets young people because they would benefit most from the offer. But he said the housing society will decide just who could live there. It's on this 60,000 square foot piece of farmland in Ma Tin Pok, Yuen Long, where he wants to build more than 1,300 square foot homes to be managed by the housing society. Lee has offered to pay the land premium and construction cost. The flats could cost about $1.2 million each, and he made clear residents affected by the proposal would be compensated.
The property tycoon said that he's confident that the housing society will accept the proposal and release more details within the next 1 or 2 months.
Regarding the property market, Lee said it's in a slump now and prices won't be rising anytime soon. He said once supply meets demand again, market cooling measures that are now in place won't be necessary. Also today, Housing Supply pitted Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying against Neo-Democrats lawmaker Gary Fan. In last month's question and answer session at LegCo, Fan said there are more than 150,000 vacant flats in Hong Kong, so there's no need to develop the Northeast new territories. As it turns out, the figure came from a Next magazine article which also included living space in non-residential premises such as elderly homes, hospitals, and prisons. In his blog, the chief executive slammed Fan for quoting inaccurate figures. Leung said government figures show there were about 48,000 vacant units at the end of last year, the lowest vacancy rate in a decade. The CE also called on Fan to support the Northeast New Territories plan. The lawmaker hit back, insisting his figures are correct and that Leung had still failed to persuade him to support the proposal. Kirti Nandwani, TVB News.
Thai police have arrested 4 men and seized 230 kilos of heroin, which was destined for Hong Kong. The suspects, 3 Taiwanese and a Thai citizen, were arrested in the Bangkok area yesterday. The 3 Taiwanese suspects were arrested before they boarded a flight to Hong Kong, while the Thai male was detained at a hotel just outside the capital. Thai police say the drugs had a street value of $13 million, but could have fetched up to 20 times that price outside of Thailand. Well, Taiwan has formally lifted all sanctions against Manila, following a formal apology yesterday from the Philippine Special Envoy over the death of a Taiwanese fisherman back in May. He was killed after a Philippine Coast Guard vessel opened fire on a Taiwanese fishing boat. The decision means all 11 sanctions are now lifted, and that paves the way for a normalization of ties between Taipei and Manila, which had been under severe strain since the killing.
The Japanese city of Nagasaki marked the 68th anniversary of the atomic bombing at the end of World War II. As a bell rang out in a prayer for peace, the Nagasaki mayor called on the international community to remember the suffering caused by the bombing. He also criticized the Japanese government for refusing to sign a statement rejecting the unconditional use of nuclear weapons at an international disarmament meeting back in April.
The United States has evacuated all non-essential staff from its consulate in the Pakistani city of Lahore because of a perceived threat. It follows similar moves in Yemen, where threats were made against U.S. diplomatic interests there. First Yemen, now Pakistan, is the focus of the latest terror alerts, which has already forced non-essential U.S. diplomatic staff to either leave their posts or get assigned to more secure locations. Certainly, Pakistani authorities have had their work cut out for them as they try to contain a new round of violence in the country. A number of people were shot dead in the city of Quetta today as gunmen attacked a former provincial minister outside a mosque. The attack in Quetta, the capital of Baluchistan province, came a day after a Taliban suicide bomber killed about 30 people at a police funeral in the city. The US State Department has made no mention of these attacks, instead saying that a specific threat had been identified against the American consulate in Pakistan's second-largest city of Lahore. As a result, it's warned American citizens not to travel to Pakistan. According to a US embassy spokeswoman in Pakistan, authorities are shifting all non-essential staff in Lahore to the capital Islamabad. Similar warnings were made to Americans last week about Yemen, although no link has been made to the situation in Pakistan and the one in the Middle East. Still, Washington believes it faces a threat of some kind to its diplomatic interests in South Asia and the Middle East and has taken action to protect itself. In the Middle East, at least, Al-Qaeda has been blamed for the threat. Perhaps it's no coincidence, then, that at least 14 militants with alleged links to the terror group were killed in Yemen in recent days. They reportedly died in drone strikes carried out on militant training camps in the country.
And still ahead in the news. Inflation steady across the border. Locally, arrest over syringe attacks in Hong Kong. And day one of the PGA Championships.
And welcome back to TVB News. Inflation on the mainland rose 2.7% last month compared with the same period last year. That's well below the full-year target of 3.5% set by Beijing. Today's data suggests that consumer prices are holding steady and that China's economic slowdown may have bottomed out. Food prices climbed 5% in July, and that was the main reason behind the increase in the consumer price index. Meanwhile, the Producer Price Index, which measures the average change in prices experienced by domestic producers, fell 2.3% from a year ago. While struggling to pull his nation out of recession, Greek Prime Minister Antonis Samaras held talks with US President Barack Obama in Washington yesterday. Obama told him that if Greece balances austerity with growth, it has a better chance of recovering. Here's Sonia Artero with more.
After meeting at the White House, both leaders agreed Greece must find ways to grow its economy and create jobs to tackle unemployment.
In dealing with the challenges that Greece faces, we cannot simply look to austerity as a strategy. It's important that we have a plan for fiscal consolidation to manage the debt, but it's also important that growth and jobs are a focus.
Samaras made clear the people of Greece are facing tough austerity measures. Since 2010, the country has been surviving on money from a $319 billion international bailout package.
In terms of the economy, yes, we've gone through thick and thin. The sacrifices made by the Greek people are huge, but they're not going to be in vain, because what we now need is development of jobs and growth.
To that, Obama assured Samaras America has Greece's back.
That the United States wants to continue to be helpful and supportive in what will be a challenging process. But we're confident that Greece can succeed.
Samaras maintains his country is on the road to recovery.
If Greece succeeds, and it will succeed, our success story is going also to be a European success story. And I believe this is very important.
But that statement was quite the contrary to those struggling from a staggering record-high unemployment rate in Greece. Latest figures show it hit 27.6% in May. This woman says no signs of growth or jobs make living in the country a nightmare. This unemployed man swallowed his pride to admit he survives by scrounging for food out of trash cans. Sonia Artero, TVB News.
Days of torrential rain triggered flash floods in the midsection of the United States. At least 2 people, including a child, have been killed so far. NBC News takes a look at the damage, beginning in Nashville, Tennessee.
Rain was predicted, but Nashville residents didn't expect to wake up to this. 8 inches of rain on already saturated ground sent water rushing down city streets and highways, forcing some to shut down completely. It began before dawn.
A couple more inches and this area is going to be in trouble again, so hopefully this will slow down.
But the water kept rising.
I got up and looked out the bedroom window and I said, oh my God.
Making it especially difficult for emergency crews to reach people who had managed to escape their homes, only to become stranded. 911 calls began at 4:30 in the morning. At least 35 water rescues were reported. Schools opened on schedule, but buses were diverted from flooded areas. By late afternoon, floodwaters began to recede, revealing the damage.
All my furniture, everything is just messed up. Couches turned over.
In Missouri, 6 inches of rain on top of 3 days of relentless downpours set the stage for flash floods. More than 40 roads remain closed in central Missouri. One woman died when her car was swept away and a 4-year-old boy drowned. Even with more rain predicted, residents today began cleaning up.
You cross your fingers and hope that everything will come out okay. Hope the insurance covers it and go on and see what we can do.
In northern Georgia, 10 inches of rain washed out several roads. Officials are unsure when they'll all reopen. In southern Kansas, hundreds of homes damaged, dozens of campgrounds evacuated after 6 inches of rain hit the area.
Back locally now, police have arrested a man in Hong Kong, accusing him of being responsible for a spate of syringe attacks. There's no word yet on a possible motive. Jada Silva reports.
The 58-year-old suspect was arrested last night. Police say he found a syringe on the street last Sunday and then used it to jab 3 women in the back. One of them, a 42-year-old woman, was attacked on Matawai Road. She was treated in hospital and has since been discharged. A medical expert said apart from bacteria and sterilized used needles can cause dangerous infectious diseases.
There is a risk of tetanus, and there could be blood-borne viruses like hepatitis and HIV infection. So the risk can be very significant. So for victims of the needle stick injury, it's important for them to seek medical care early.
Dr. Ho adds that the incubation period for diseases such as hepatitis is quite long. Victims should get tested immediately after an attack and again 2 to 3 months later. Police said the 2 other victims have not reported the case yet and called on them to come forward. João da Silva, TVB News.
Members of a Beijing-based AIDS research center were in Hong Kong today to highlight the plight of children infected with HIV across the border. The issue will be discussed at a United Nations conference next month. Vicky Kung has more.
It's not just skin infection here. Tianxi contracted HIV after receiving tainted blood transfusions at a hospital in Henan province 18 years ago. He was only 9 at that time. Tian said the government has been providing free antiviral drugs to him and others who are HIV positive. But he said he was not offered compensation for the hospital's mistake or given financial support to treat the skin disease, as well as hepatitis B and C. And he is just one of the many such patients in Henan. Advocates say 500,000 people were infected with the HIV virus in the region in the 1990s because of unregulated blood extraction. In addition, many villagers who sold blood died, leaving behind about 3,000 orphans. This 10-year-old girl is also HIV positive. She became paralyzed after taking antiviral medicine 2 years ago. The director of the Beijing Aizhixing Institute, Wang Yanhai, explains that those who are HIV positive have a limited choice of drugs on the mainland. What's more, side effects can be serious. To tackle the lack of support for children, Wang plans to bring up the issue at the upcoming UN conference.
After a person gets infected by HIV, it can take up to 10 years for AIDS symptoms to appear. This is why detection of the virus often comes late. Vicky Kung, TVB News.
All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
That's right, we've got golf. Exciting action on the greens. Two golfers share the lead after the first round of the year's final major, the PGA Championship in New York. As Jameson Wong shows us, birdies were plentiful after rain softened up the greens.
It's the fourth and last major of the year, also known as the Fun Major. Keeping with that theme, Japan's Koki Adoki, pretty okie-dokie here. He had a string of 4 straight birdies on the front 9, but ended up 2 over. 35 golfers are under par. How's that for fun? Masters champ Adam Scott and former U.S. Open winner Jim Furyk are tied at the top of the leaderboard at 5 under. Scott with a run of 5 straight birdies on the front 9.
You know, I just hit really nice shots and didn't leave myself too much work. And you have to take advantage of that if you're feeling it. And I was through the turn there, so it was a dream start after kind of a nervous first couple of holes.
You hit a bunch of fairways, hit a bunch of greens, you're going to have a pretty good day. But, you know, I was comfortable with a putter in my hand. I think that took a little pressure off my game as well.
Some big names who didn't have such a good time at Oak Hill included Angel Cabrera plus 10, KJ Choi and Padraig Harrington at 6 over. Tiger Woods with a so-so 1 over 71. That's where you'll find Phil Mickelson as well. His round included 4 birdies, a bogey, and 2 double bogeys. Rain late in the day suspended play for about an hour. Jameson Wong, TVB News.
On to tennis now, and Wimbledon champion Andy Murray was upset in the third round of the Montreal Masters. The Scot fell to Latvia's Anets Gilvis 6-4 and 6-3, and this was only Murray's second outing since his win at the All England Club. He is the defending champion at this year's final Grand Slam, the US Open, which begins in about 2 weeks. Murray will get the chance to work on his game next week in Cincinnati. Meanwhile, Spain's Rafael Nadal got a scare from Poland's Jerzy Janowicz before prevailing 7-6 and 6-4. Nadal also took a break after Wimbledon.
And that's the news for tonight. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
Good evening. The weather today was sunny and very hot. Temperatures over most parts of the territory rose to 33 degrees or above in the afternoon. And as tonight's situation chart shows, a ridge of high pressure is bringing generally fine and very hot weather to southeastern China. Today's temperatures ranged from 27.3 to 32.5 degrees, and the relative humidity was between 57 and 88%. Winds were light to moderate westerlies. The current temperature is now 30 degrees Celsius, with the relative humidity standing at 71%. The very hot weather warning is now in force. So Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow? It will be fine tonight. The minimum temperature will be about 27 degrees overnight. It will be very hot tomorrow, apart from isolated showers in the afternoon. The maximum temperature will be around 33 degrees in the urban areas and a couple of degrees higher in the new territories. It will be mainly fine and very hot in the next couple of days. Tomorrow's API is forecast at 15 to 85, and the pollution level will range from low to high. And the maximum UV intensity forecast for tomorrow will be about 11. And here's the latest global weather update. Cloudy in Shanghai and Xiamen, showers in Taipei. Sunny in Guangzhou and Macau, cloudy in Chengdu. Sunny in Beijing, rain in Seoul, bright in Tokyo. Thunderstorms in Bangkok, rain in Ho Chi Minh City and Manila. Showers in Kuala Lumpur, thunderstorms in Singapore, rain in Jakarta. Thunderstorms in New Delhi, rain in Karachi and Mumbai. Sunny in Cairo. Sunny in Brisbane, showers in Sydney and Melbourne. Sunny in Toronto. Sunny in Vancouver, cloudy in San Francisco. Cloudy in London, sunny in Paris and Zurich. And that's the weather. Have a lovely evening.